I didn't find out I wasn't invited to Christmas because someone told me. I found out because of a bill. The email arrived on a Tuesday afternoon while I was finishing reports at work. The subject line mentioned an overdue payment connected to an auto loan. At first I assumed it had been sent to me by mistake. Then I saw my brother's name, and underneath it mine. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. 3 years earlier, after a messy financial situation, I'd agreed to co-sign a loan so my younger brother could rebuild his credit. Everyone promised it was temporary. My parents thanked me repeatedly. My brother swore he'd refinance within a year. He never did. I paid little attention after that because the payments were always current. Until that email, attached to the notice was an invoice for nearly $45,000. The remaining balance on a Porsche I didn't know he owned. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it felt absurd. My brother had somehow upgraded from practical transportation to a luxury car, and I was learning about it from a collections department. I called him immediately. He didn't answer, neither did my mother. A few hours later, I received a text from my cousin, a photo. The entire family gathered around a decorated Christmas tree. My parents, my brother, his wife, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone smiling. The message underneath read, "Wish you could have made it." I looked at the date. The party had happened 3 days earlier. Nobody had invited me. For a while I sat in silence trying to convince myself there had been some misunderstanding. Maybe an email got lost, maybe plans changed, maybe. Then I opened social media, photos, videos, matching sweaters, family dinner, gift exchanges. My brother posing proudly beside the Porsche in the driveway. The comments hurt more than the pictures. Perfect family Christmas. Everyone together again. Everyone. Apparently not everyone. I called my mother that evening. Her voice carried the relaxed tone people use when they don't realize they're about to be confronted. When I asked why I wasn't invited, there was a pause. Not a shocked pause, a searching for an answer pause. Finally, she said, "We assumed you were busy." I waited. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just an assumption. Then she changed the subject. She asked if I'd seen the loan notice. I remember staring at my kitchen wall while she spoke. Not because of what she said, because of what she didn't. She wasn't concerned about how I felt. She was concerned about the payment. The entire conversation revolved around money. Could I help? Could I smooth things over? Could I give my brother time? At no point did anyone ask why being excluded hurt. The realization arrived quietly. I wasn't family when there was a chair to fill. I was family when there was a bill to pay. That thought stayed with me for days. I replayed years of memories, birthday dinners where I covered the check, emergency expenses that somehow became permanent expenses. Promises to repay that faded into silence. Every event seemed to follow the same pattern. My presence was optional. My support was expected. For the first time, I stopped arguing with myself. I stopped looking for excuses on their behalf. Instead, I scheduled a call with the bank. The representative was polite and professional. She reviewed the account and explained my obligations. Then she explained my options. The conversation lasted less than 20 minutes. No anger, no dramatic speeches, just facts. When the call ended, I sat alone in my apartment and looked out the window. I felt surprisingly calm, not happy, not vindicated, just finished. A week later, my phone exploded with messages. My brother called first, then my parents, then relatives who rarely contacted me unless they needed something. The bank had acted. Formal notices had been issued. Deadlines were now real. The situation had moved beyond family conversations and entered the hands of people who cared only about contracts. Suddenly everyone wanted to talk. Suddenly everyone wanted to explain. My brother was furious. My parents were shocked. One uncle accused me of embarrassing the family. I listened more than I spoke. What struck me most was that nobody seemed interested in discussing the invitation. They discussed consequences, payments, solutions, damage control. The actual reason everything happened remained strangely absent. Finally, my mother asked the question that settled something inside me. "Why are you doing this now?" Not why are you hurt, not why didn't you tell us. Why now? I answered honestly. Because I realized the only thing you noticed missing at Christmas was my money. Silence followed, real silence, the kind that appears when someone hears something they can't immediately dismiss. A month later, the Porsche was gone. There was no dramatic scene, no celebration, no revenge, just a driveway that looked different than it had before. My relationship with my family never fully recovered. Some relatives still believe I overreacted, maybe they always will. Others have slowly started acknowledging things that were easier to ignore before. As for me, life became quieter, lonelier in some ways, healthier in others. The hardest lesson wasn't discovering I'd been used. It was accepting that I'd spent years confusing being needed with being valued. Once I understood the difference, the decision became much easier. I never wanted the Porsche. I never wanted repayment. I never wanted control. I just wanted a seat at the table. And when I finally understood that I wasn't going to get one, I stopped paying for the table altogether.